Good morning! Hey! Welcome to the Rocky Mountain Early Childhood Conference 2023. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited for the incredible adventure you get to have this weekend. My name's Jessica Jackson, and I'll be your MC for the weekend. And last year, I warmed the crowd up with a really fun little dance warm-up. And I want to do that again because I think it's important that we loosen up because we've got a big day ahead of us. But last year, the most amazing woman volunteered to lead this dance in front of the crowd. And I am wondering, is she here this year? She was like the magical unicorn of dancing. Oh, dreams and broken hearts. Well, I need a volunteer to come up here and lead the dance with me. It's not hard. Who's that person who gives everyone else permission to be silly? Come on. Nominate someone and start walking up. Yeah, come on up. Oh, she's taking off her. Yeah, we can have more than one. Come on. Get up here. All right. You know it's going to be athletic because she took off her jacket. All right. What's your name?
Soledad.
Soledad. And what's your name?
Monica.
Monica.
Mirla.
Mirla. So Mirla, Monica, and Soledad, and oh my gosh,
Hermine.
Hermine. We have so many dancers. All right, room. If you can stand up, please stand up at your table. We're going to get some music, and your only job is to pick one of these amazing, brave people and dance like they're dancing. They're going to lead us. Ready? Start the music. Yeah? All right, we're doing it. Oh, I like it. Yeah! Oh, we got some partner stuff going on? Yes! Everybody bump butts. All right, thank you. That was amazing. Give it up for our dancers. Woo! Oh, we should start our mornings off that way all the time. So here is where I awkwardly transition to something very important after making you guys shake your booties. Governor Jared Polis, born and raised in Colorado, is an entrepreneur, education leader, and public servant. Since becoming governor, Polis has achieved free full-day kindergarten, worked with the state legislature and people of Colorado to get universal preschool for all 4-year-olds. Yeah! So that future generations will be prepared to succeed when they start school. Supported career and college readiness pathways, such as work-based learning and apprenticeship, and worked with Colorado's Department of Higher Education in establishing the Equity Champions Coalition to break down barriers to success across a much broader spectrum. Governor Polis is committed to working collaboratively to take bold, innovative action to close the opportunity gap while prioritizing a whole child and family approach from pre-K through college. Please welcome Governor Jared Polis.
I didn't know it was a dance, but good music. And thanks to the brave people who got up here and danced. Thank you for the kind introduction. I want to thank the Denver Early Childhood Council for hosting us today. And of course, thanks to all of you, educators, administrators, teachers, early childhood professionals, working every day to help make sure that our kids have every chance of success in this great state, in this great country. I think it's exciting to say that in this moment, early childhood education is one of the most exciting areas where we're seeking to make rapid improvement. When I ran for governor, I wanted to move Colorado from a laggard to a leader in early childhood education. I'm proud to say with your help, we are well on our way. Free full-day kindergarten, fall of 19, and of course, universal free preschool starts this year. Of course, benefiting the kids, preparing kids from all backgrounds with the tools they need to succeed, saving families $6,000 a year, and of course, improving our workforce. We are now standing up the program. Thank you for your work and cooperation. The first year is always challenging. Overall, it's going well under the capable leadership of the very first director of the Department of Early Childhood Education, Dr. Lisa Roy. And that was one of the additional areas we have, as you know, different state agencies. We wanted to make sure that in the service of moving Colorado from laggard to leader in early childhood, we wanted to have a focus at a state agency rather than having it fall between several. So we created Department of Early Childhood, really focused on the birth to 5 years until kids enter school, making sure that Colorado kids have the very best experience growing up. And the data is clear. Early childhood education leads to better outcomes for kids, whether that's higher graduation rates, potential later in life, safer communities, healthier outcomes. Closing achievement gaps before they occur is a better and more effective solution than trying to address them later. And we know that there's not a lot of silver bullets in education, but quality early childhood education is definitely one of those. We also recently announced additional support for math. We're working to improve our schools. Record increase in funding for our K-12 schools this year is needed. Of course, our K-12 schools will also benefit and succeed when more kids enter kindergarten and first grade ready to learn with strong early childhood education. We're never done working to create a better future for our children and for our state. And that's really drives us every day, and I know drives you every day to help make sure your kiddos are prepared for success in life. There's a lot of work to do, of course, before we launch universal preschool, but beyond that, to make quality childcare more affordable for families, to expand preschool to kids in their threes that need it, and the funding source allows that to occur, and we hope to do more of that in the future. And I couldn't be more proud to have such a great leader in Dr. Lisa Roy heading up our administration's efforts for early childhood education. When the Department of Early Childhood was created and we launched it, we knew we needed to find some of the experience, the expertise, and the vision to really deliver on this promise of making Colorado the very best state for kids. We went through a very thorough process, and when I first met Dr. Roy, I had encountered her over the years, but when I first met her through this process, I knew that we had found the right person for the job. And over 10 months, we've made a lot of progress. Standing up the new department, hopefully those of you who are providers were able to sign up relatively easily for preschool, launching preschool. By the way, there might very well be another ballot initiative statewide this November around keeping additional funds for preschool, so keep your eyes open for that. And the best benefit is tens of thousands of Colorado kids who otherwise either wouldn't have had access to preschool or whose parents would have had to make huge sacrifices to get their kids preschool will all be able to go to preschool next fall right here in Colorado. And we're not done yet. With that, I am proud to introduce the head of our administration's efforts to make Colorado the leader in early childhood education, Dr. Lisa Roy. Go get him.
Thank you. Do I have the best boss ever? Incredible. Thank you, Governor Polis, for all you do. Woohoo! For those who just heard, I am Dr. Lisa Roy. I am the first executive director of the new Colorado Department of Early Childhood. It's so exciting to be here. I was actually here last year. I was working for the Buffett Early Childhood Institute, and I was on a panel, and we were talking about all the great things that were going on here in Colorado. And I have to say, I was sitting here with a little bit of jealousy, going, gosh, Colorado is taking it to the next limit. And then I got the job. And I wore this jacket to the interview, by the way. I think this is what got it. But I'm going to go ahead. We are running late today. I'm going to share a little bit about myself as I talk about the history of early care and education. But yes, I have more than 30 years. I know I don't look like a grandmother, which I am, but I have 3 grown children, 3 grandchildren, and have really, in my own lifetime, struggled with finding childcare and have watched my own children go through those same struggles. So as I mentioned, I returned back here 10 months ago from Nebraska, from the Buffett Early Childhood Institute. I was fortunate enough, if you work for Denver Public Schools, raise your hand, please, or scream, whatever you want to do. All right, there's lots of folks here. I preceded Priscilla Hopkins as the Executive Director of Early Childhood for Denver Public Schools. I worked in philanthropy for many years, and I'm definitely one of those people that's very committed to equity, inclusion, and diversity. So, historically, we know that we've had some challenges, and there's a study that the Center for the Study of Child Care Employment did, and they tell us about the history of the early childhood system. And we know from 1870 to 1889 that there was a need for childcare. And we had what we call some day nurseries. And does anyone know one of the famous day nurseries here in Colorado? Marjorie Reed is one. What's another one? I visited in Colorado Springs last week. The Historic Day Nursery. How many people know of that one? So Colorado has this incredible history as well of understanding the needs of working families, the needs of working women. But we've never really had that opportunity to have childcare fully funded so that a family can work to support themselves. So we know about this progressive arena, where we had half-day kindergarten, and there were private kindergartens that started. Probably don't know who those people are, but my great-grandfather, Professor John W. Bruner, was the superintendent of schools for Frederick, Maryland. So back then, they had one-room schools. So your kindergarten students were there with the sixth graders, and the sixth graders actually helped to teach the classroom. That's my great-grandmother there that was a teacher, and then my grandmother, Drexel. So they were involved during that time. And again, think about in the early 1900s. There were still a lot of women at home, but there was still a need for teachers and nurses and women that worked in different professions to have childcare. Then we had this prosperity, depression, and war era. And more mothers are starting to work. There's still not enough childcare. The federal government steps in temporarily during World War II and provides emergency funding. During that time, in 1929, I don't know if you can see that light circle, but my grandmother, Drexel, had just graduated from Bowie State in 1929. So again, I'm telling you this for a reason. You'll figure out in a minute, but she was totally devoted to ensuring that children, just like my great-grandfather, had the education that they needed to support them in life and beyond. So then we have World War II to the Nixon veto, and what starts? Head Start. It's an exciting time. If you're Head Start, I want to hear you. All right. I'm a Head Start parent, guys. Very proud of that. My young children had the opportunity to attend Head Start, and it made a huge difference for them. And so that started during that time period. Also during that time period, I was born in 1963, which means I'm how old this year? I am 60 this year. So that's my baby picture. Thank you. And my kindergarten teacher, my kindergarten picture. But I show you these pictures for a reason. My mom and dad were teen parents. So you just saw I came from a family of educators, right? My grandparents and great-grandparents were not too happy that my mother got pregnant her senior year of high school. My dad was in his freshman year of college. So you see, that's their wedding picture. You notice something there? Yeah, that's me. Absolutely. So here I am, I'm being raised by teen parents, but I'm fortunate I have a grandmother. And she was my FFN provider. Couldn't have a better one, right? Grandma's a teacher. But for those of you who have heard me talk about this, a few of you have, my grandmother was great about making sure that I was able to read and write, but the social emotional, not so much. So that cute little girl right there, when I went to kindergarten, I wasn't prepared social emotionally. I didn't want to sit still, I didn't want to raise my hand, and I certainly knew all the answers, right? So I wouldn't allow the other children in the class to actually experience what the teacher was trying to teach. So as great as a time that I had, if my grandmother had had some of the training that you all have accessed now, that would have made a world of difference for my first day of kindergarten. So then we have this time called demand and dysfunction, and there's more demand for early care and education again. Private markets are expanding. We have a worthy wage campaign, and we're trying to get greater investment and publicly for early care and education. How are we doing in Colorado with this? We're doing better than a lot of states. But again, as the governor said, we've got a limited amount of money for 3s and a universal program for part-time for 4s. And we're way ahead of where a lot of states are doing, but there's still a great need. So there I am. I finally, during that period, I graduated from high school, so you see my grandmother in the middle. And then I start to have my own family. And this is where, again, I had my own struggles. I was a stay-at-home mom. My ex-husband made a decent salary as an itinerant teacher, but it wasn't enough for a family of 5. So my brother-in-law, who was a doctor, said, you need to go back to work to help my brother out. He can't do this all by himself. What was my issue, guys? I was undegreed, and I had to pay for childcare. Could I afford it for 3 children? No, making minimum wage does not pay for 3 children in childcare, period. So I was fortunate. Who here works for Mile High Early Learning? Okay, there's a group. I went to Mile High Early Learning not knowing anything about childcare, but I was fortunate. United Way paid for a subsidy. So I was able to afford childcare, and I wouldn't be Dr. Roy today without that. So again, there's this great recession, and what else has happened? COVID, say it louder, guys. COVID, oh my gosh. So what happens then? Well, people start realizing we're essential, right? All of a sudden, we're the essential workers. People cannot go to work without the early care and education workforce. And that has hopefully transformed how the public in general understands what we bring to the table. I was able to finish my doctorate, as I said. That's my family there. And again, they are struggling with their own child care issues. That is why when I interviewed with Governor Polis, I said, I can relate. How many of you can relate to struggling yourself to pay for child care? How many of you have struggled with paying for your own education? These are some of the tangent issues that our department wants to address. We want to address workforce issues, which I'll talk about in a moment. We want to ensure that affordability is a part of the equation for young children birth to 5. And again, there's my grandkids. Who are they hanging out with now? They're hanging out with the governor, because our governor does really believe that early care and education is a priority. So there hasn't been a new State Department in how many years? Some of you know the answer. 30 years. And the Constitution only allowed for one more department. And our state chose what? Early childhood. It shows the commitment we have. I'm on the cabinet. I meet with the governor not only at the cabinet, but on a weekly level to talk about all the concerns that you have around workforce and around affordability in early care and education. So I was asked to talk about one other piece of important research with you, and I will just let you know that as far as strengthening the ECE workforce, this Mary Popper report, doesn't it sound like Mary Poppins a little bit, guys? We'll call it the Mary Poppins report. Just don't tell anyone I said that. But again, our goal is to look at systemic barriers and make the changes that are needed. We need to make sure that the diversity that we have here is reflected in all parts of the early care and education system. We have men. Raise your hand if you're a man here. We need more men. Woohoo! Raise your hand if you speak more than one language. All right. Thank you. So all the types of diversity that we need to reflect the families that we work with are important. And we need to continue to ensure that we have the public investments. So you heard what the governor said. We're going to have an initiative on the ballot to make sure that we keep as much as that tobacco tax as possible for us. We're going to continue to consider the different policies that are needed as well and use data in better ways. I want to now just shift into talking about the department. I mentioned that workforce is an important part of our work. And so living wage, raise your hand if you believe that every person that works in early care and education should have a living wage. Yes. I'm going to stop for a second there. I had a niece. She's not a blood niece, but you better not tell her that because we're that close. But she just graduated from high school last year, and she went to CSU and did one semester. She said, "You're my hero. I want to go into early care and education." Well, I'm heartbroken to tell you after one semester, she dropped out because she can make more as a phlebotomist. and do that in a semester. I'm not giving up on her because the kinds of strategies we're coming up with are going to ensure that we continue to increase your ability to make a living wage and more. So I just want to let you know that that's my commitment. And I'm hoping that when I come back next year, not that I will not be the keynote next year, but when I come back and I see you, that I'll be able to say that she has reconsidered and sees a pathway for early care and education. But that's so important. We do need to make sure that you have benefits and retirement and that you make enough so that you don't work a second job. The professional learning piece is another piece that I'm very excited about with our department, and we're again hired Dr. Rebecca Flasheen from the department, from the University of Colorado, Denver. And she's really going to help us with our PDIS system. We've gotten a commitment from many of the provosts from our colleges and universities. For those of you in the audience that have taken coursework that hasn't culminated in a degree, we want to make sure that you are able to articulate that into a degree. And then access and belonging, that was something actually at the University of Nebraska where I saw they put a lot of emphasis into the research for that. But again, for you, you need to feel, because you love the work you do, you wouldn't be here. You love kids, but we need to make sure that you're able to have the kind of self-care that you need to thrive every day. Take care of your families as well. So some of the things we've done, who's taken advantage of loan forgiveness? A couple of you have. Millions of dollars in debt. All right, thank you. Millions of dollars in debt for some of you, and we want to make sure that, again, we can work with you on absolving that. Some of you were involved in a teacher salary increase pilot. Some of you have experienced the teacher peer mentorship piece. And some of you, maybe all of you, the ECPC tax credit. Who's participated in that? Yes, very exciting. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about the outcome of that once you all have filed your taxes. We've also had targeted scholarships, so the Teach is not new, right? We can't take credit for that. But thank you to our folks that administer the Teach Scholarship Program. Excuse me, I am gonna need some water, I just realized. Thank you. The Teach Scholarship Program, who's taken advantage of the CDA credential? All right. Apprenticeships, and then this last one was interesting. We thought, at least the staff thought, that only 900 people would take advantage of the free EC 101 and 103 coursework, and we had over 4,000. If you have taken advantage of that, raise your hand. Thank you. Excuse me, guys. Okay. I am actually choking up here. I apologize. I'm going to ask you to turn this down for a second. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So the total number of awards for that, 3,448. Family, Friend, and Neighbor Care. Who is an FFN provider here? Okay, thank you. Again, my grandmother was my FFN provider, and it made all the difference in the world for my parents to be able to work. All of the grandkids were at grandma's house, so she had a total of 5. And like I said, it really helped us to be ready for school, but we could have used some of the supports, as I mentioned earlier, that you have around social emotional training. So the training grant solicitation is another thing that's been really important. Right now, you get to talk, and I get to get more water. Yay! So if you could take your phone and scan with this Padlet, let me know when you get there. Thank you. Awesome. Mints. Is everyone there yet? Let me know. Okay, once you're there, I want you to start your dialogue, your table talk dialogue. And please do enter words or phrases into the Padlet, and we'll have that display in a few moments. Thank you. So we'll give you a few minutes, again, to talk about what innovations, transformations, and new possibilities are emerging for you and your communities that hold promise for the early childhood workforce. Some of you have Circle grants. Some of you are working with the community college and college system. Whatever types of innovations, transformations, and again, maybe some things that we haven't thought about. Please talk about those at your table and put on your Padlet. And I'll give you another 9 minutes. All right, how are we doing? I see lots of great information. They've given me my own screen. It's so cool. So I see pyramid training, coaching, EQUIT, the tax credit grants, UPK, building expansion, inclusion teams, trauma-informed approaches, free college courses, better pay and hopefully increasing that, more than a living wage, having more resources for preschools that want to include DEI. Oh, the kids are amazing. Circle grants, better funding. So pretty consistent program-wide pyramid implementation. So you're doing a lot of great things, and I am so excited that we've been able to, as a department, put resources where they're needed. Next, what I'd like to do, and I have 5 minutes. We'll see how this goes, guys. First of all, I wanted to say I felt very comfortable coughing and choking around you guys. You know why? Because you've all had CPR training. If there's anywhere where I was going to choke, this is the place. So we're connecting with other states, and we just wanted to let you know that in February, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced the launch of a new national early care and education workforce center themselves. And that will result in a $30 million investment to support research and technical assistance for states, yay, communities and territories and tribal nations, and it'll help us improve our recruitment and retention of a diverse and qualified workforce across early care and education programs. And so they're really going to be working on building a career pipeline just as we are, and then identifying and implementing sustainable approaches to increase compensation and benefits. We are also working with BUILD and our PDG grants. And as you might know, CDEC was awarded a $3.9 million PDG grant to continue to build our infrastructure and scale effective strategies and programs. And then finally, we have our EEIC grant, and we're partnering with the University of Colorado, Denver, and other state agencies and institutions to transform early care and education coursework and degree pathways. I'm real excited about that. Now, some of you said you did the credential for PDIS, right? Are some of you excited to see some of that change a little bit? Make it a little easier for you? I know I am. I really am. So, yes, you can clap for that one, please. So in the short term, we encourage you to attend as many of the presentations that are available over the next 2 days to learn more about what's going on throughout the state. Please follow us on social media and subscribe to our newsletter. And then check out our calendar for additional opportunities. There's a lot going on. What I'd like to end saying again is that every parent in the state of Colorado thanks you for your hard work. The governor and I could not do this without you. We couldn't do early intervention, home visitation, run our family resource centers, our early childhood councils. We couldn't run our home-based, center-based, and school-based programs without you. The success of UPK will be due to you. So we want to be open to your suggestions and ideas. You know how to get in touch with us. Please attend our town halls, whatever we need to get information to make our work better, please let us know. The last thing I'll say is that it's just been an honor for me to come back from Nebraska to serve over this new department for the state of Colorado. Thank you so much. It is a huge job, but I came at this. You heard about my story. I had 3 kids before I had my first degree, my associate's degree, right? And went on to get my doctorate as a grandmother. Thank you. I struggled as an FFN provider myself to financially support my family, but it allowed me to be home with my children. When it was time for my children to go to childcare, having Head Start and CPP and other funding sources made a huge, like United Way, made a huge difference. And I am an example of someone, just like many of you, that if you stick to it, you can make a living wage. We want to make sure everyone in this room has that opportunity. So again, thank you. I hope you have a blessed conference. I'm so happy to be here, and I will see you guys in some sessions. Thank you so much.
Everybody, let's thank Dr. Roy one more time. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and all the amazing things you do. So breakout sessions begin at 10:30. We're back here for a boxed lunch at noon. And you're not going to want to miss at 5 o'clock the wonderful Vincent Nunes and our Excellence Awards ceremony where we celebrate some really incredible people doing amazing work. So thank you, and we'll see you later.